everyone. Good evening. My name is Christian Flores. I'm a community organizer with Inland Congregations United for Change. Welcome, and thank you all for coming. Just to start things off and to set the tone, we just want to hear what you're going to be doing for the city, as opposed to critiquing your opponent. And I'll say it real quick in Spanish. Bienvenidos a todos y gracias por atender el evento. Por si acaso necesitan tecnología de traducción y interpretación, vayan para atrás a la mesa de registración y ahí te pueden ayudar. De nuevo, gracias por venir y se lo paso el micrófono a mi compañero.
All right. Good evening, everyone. All right, my name is Stephen Merrick. I am the senior community organizer with Congregations Organized for Prophetic Engagement. And thank you. And we are a Black-led, faith-rooted, grassroots community organization whose mission is to train and develop the capacity of religious and lay leaders and congregations across the Inland Empire for the purpose of revitalizing and protecting the communities in which we live, work, and worship. And so what that means is we serve the grassroots community. That means those who are closest to the issues. That means parents. That means children. That means system-impacted individuals. That means you. That means those who have a shared, lived experience of strength and struggle against systems of oppression. Now, next, I'd like to invite up the angel of this church, Pastor Wade Ford of the 16th Street Seventh-day Adventist Church. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Come on, y'all can do it just a little bit better than that. Good evening, everybody. I consider this a great opportunity and a pleasure, not just to come before you all, but to be able to gather, to be able to engage, and be able to look for the future that we desire, and prayerfully by our contribution can help to architect and design. Amen? Man, come on, y'all could do just a little bit better. A future that we get to help design and architect. Amen. It's called a throwaway. We work with one another to create this space that we desire so that indeed we can get what we've come to be accomplished. But if you would do with me what is only rightful as we get prepared to begin, and close your eyes and bow your heads where you can. Father, thank you that you intentionally chose to wake us to see this day, not by accident and not by chance, not even because our children didn't realize that they could have slept in a little bit longer, but purposed by design. So God, it is with that divine design that we ask that your presence would be here, that we would be able to find ourselves more informed and more empowered, more engaged and with greater clarity and understanding as we seek to be able to make informed decisions that will impact the future of this community of the west side of San Bernardino. So God, we ask that you would allow this space to be one of transparency and openness, that would be authentic in its dialogue and clear in its communication. So thank you, Father, for the candidates that decided to show up, for just their presence alone speaks volumes. So bless us now, God, I pray, in the matchless, mighty, and wonderful name of our Savior and Redeemer. Let all who love God say with me, amen. God bless you tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Before we get started, I wanted to go ahead and provide a little bit of information. We received an email today stating that Bessine, Littlefield, Richards will not be able to attend tonight's forum. We made every effort to reach out to the candidates ahead of time, so thank you for the council member, Calvin, and for Mario, who are here today, for attending. Thank you. Thank you for being here. All right, and as we get started, I want to bid everybody a good evening and a welcome to the first annual Candidate Forum Series hosted by KVCR, Public Media in San Bernardino, the League of Women Voters, a trusted source of voter information, and Just San Bernardino, a nonprofit collaborative focus on the future of San Bernardino. My name is Lupe Camacho, and I will serve as your moderator tonight. I am the Voter Services Chair for the League of Women Voters, San Bernardino area, and a proud and longtime resident of San Bernardino County. The series of 4 unique conversations with the candidates for City Council in the 4 wards that are up for election this March 5th, the California presidential primary begins tonight with Ward 5. I am joined by candidates Mario Flores and current council member Kim Calvin. The city of San Bernardino is uniquely positioned as the county seat in one of the largest and fastest growing regions in California. It is also the national hub of warehousing and logistics industry, and the city is changing rapidly. Long known for its affordability, in many ways we are at the crossroads, recovering from the bankruptcy and developing a plan for the city that supports current residents with local quality job opportunities, decent and affordable housing, options for people experiencing homelessness, and a city plan that puts residents first, not developers and multinational corporations, is all on the table. Tonight, we have an hour and a half to get to know these candidates and their platforms a little bit better. The questions and the topics we will cover this evening were drafted by input from the community members. Before we get started, I would like to go through the ground rules for today's forum. Each candidate will have a set amount of time to respond to the questions. They will not address each other directly. We will open with short statements and close with closing statements from each of the candidates. All questions will be accepted at the registration table, as we will not be taking questions from the audience during the event. And we ask that you hold your applause until the end of the program. So now to move forward, I will be stating the amount of time that each candidate will have for answering the questions. We're going to go ahead and get started with opening statements. So I'd like to open by letting each candidate share a little bit about themselves, why they are running for City Council, and their motivations. We will start with incumbent Kim Calvin.
Good evening, San Bernardino and residents of Ward 6. It is my pleasure to be here before you this evening, as it is my pleasure to serve you and to have served you for the past 3 years and 1 month. But I feel like I've been in service all of my life, because as a young girl here on the west side of San Bernardino, there are many of my family members who have served the community, and they've left their footprints to show those facts. And so basically I'm here just walking inside of those footprints and hoping that I will continue to be able to serve you, but to do my absolute best for the next generation, so that those to come even after Kimberly Calvin will be able to have the honor of serving Ward 6. But first, we must be an example when we're doing that. And being an example means that you live by every word that you state. You live by everything that you say that you're going to do, and you keep those promises. So I thank you for this opportunity tonight.
Thank you, Councilmember Calvin. Now we move with Mr. Mario Flores.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank the organizers and everybody who had a hand in this event for putting it together. And I also want to deeply thank the community for coming out and being involved. participation is crucial and important during these times, especially in election season. I was raised over on the west side by Nicholson Park, and Nicholson Park is very important to me because over the years, I volunteered at that community. I've picked up the trash, I've painted the basketball courts, I've tried to revitalize the area, but unfortunately it closed down, and I had to move on to serve the community in a different way. It's where I became more involved in my youth group. And over the years, I've gotten the opportunity to meet different mentors and different elected officials who are truly inspiring. Even most recently, last year, I got an opportunity to work for my former teacher. And the essence of giving back to the community and doing it for the people is inspiring, and I want to follow along those same footsteps. Buenas tardes todos, me llamo Mario Flores y quiero agradecer a la organización por tomar el tiempo para hacer este evento y los participantes por venir y participar en el evento. Es importante porque nos tenemos que informar sobre las personas que vamos a votar y es muy importante. Sobre los años he visto cómo mi comunidad se ha deteriorado y también de esa misma forma he tenido la oportunidad de conocer a personas importantes que hacen todo para la comunidad, para la bien y dan todo de regreso. Y yo también quiero ser parte de eso. Gracias.
Thank you very much, candidates. And for this next question, we're going to begin with the topic of housing. We're going to start with that topic, and you will each have 2 minutes to answer the question. According to CoreLogic, home prices in November were at or above all-time highs in four of our region's 6 counties: Orange County, San Bernardino, San Diego, and Ventura. San Bernardino County's median home price rose by 12.9% to a record high of $519,500. Our first question is for Mario. What is your platform on housing? How would you ensure housing is affordable in our city?
Thank you for the question. So, as I've been out engaging with the community, a lot of the similarities, especially within my age group, have come up. Housing, right? How someone my age or other people similar to my age, how are we going to be able to afford housing and be able to create a life and create roots in the city? Now, I might not be an all-knowing expert in the area, but it's important to surround yourselves with the people who do know about housing and partner with them and create good development and bring it to the city and place housing in an area where it makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mario. And now the same question for Councilmember Calvin.
Well, this question is definitely right up my alley because I come from a family of housing developers, and affordable housing developers to be exact. And so I'll just talk about what we have been able to do the past 3 years and 1 month that I've been sitting on the dais. So we have, in the process, a 94 single-family home, market rate, that is being built right around the corner on Highland. There hadn't been any housing built in the area in over 40 years, but coming from a family of affordable housing developers, I know the importance and the value. So we brought forward an affordable housing developer that is going to be building a project on 5th and Meridian where the old Meridian apartments used to be. And I met this developer by representing San Bernardino at a conference, League of California Cities, where I have also been able to sit on the Interagency Council for Homelessness for 2 years. And that has been crucial because you have to have the information in order to go out and know what your community needs. But there's all type of housing that we can do. The most important thing you cannot be is a NIMBYer, and that's what I'm not. So even the staff here in the city of San Bernardino recognize that Kimberly, Councilmember Calvin, they can bring a housing project to me, affordable housing project to me, and I'm not gonna be the council member that says, we don't want that in our community. Because the average age is medium age here in the city of San Bernardino's west side, 30 years old. We have to assist. But I've also brought forward a first-time homebuyers program. The room had about 30 constituents inside of it. This is where they would be able to earn a certificate where they would be able to go out and purchase themselves a home while working with NHSIE, and they would also provide information to them as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Calvin. Now I'm going to follow up with a couple of questions that can be answered as yes or no. So I will start again with Mario. Do you support rent control and/or a rent cap in the city? Do you support rent control and/or a rent cap in the city?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin, same question to you. Just one word answer would be preferable.
Yes, most definitely.
Okay. The second follow-up question for Mario. Will you require that 25% of housing developed at the site of the former Carousel Mall to be affordable?
Yes.
And now the same question to you, Councilmember Calvin.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, both candidates. The next topic that we're going to be moving to is jobs and the type of jobs our community needs. These questions you have 2 minutes to answer as well. We will start with you, Councilmember Calvin. How do you support the creation of quality jobs that pay at least $25 per hour, provide health benefits, safe working conditions, and respect to the employees?
Well, I am a job creator right here in the ward. I'm a nonprofit executive director where we employ 60 employees with 30% of them living right here in our city, right here in our ward, I'm sorry. And not only are we providing jobs, but they are quality jobs. We allow our staff members to currently be enrolled in school without a penalty to them because we understand that this is a stepping stone in their lives. So we want to be influential in how they are going to navigate themselves to a better career. I believe in building trades, strong supporter. I've been endorsed by the IE Labor Council. And so with that being said, I've also been trying to incorporate or push relationships within San Bernardino City Unified School District with all of the labor unions, because it's critical that our scholars have another opportunity versus going directly to college. College isn't for everyone. So we must make sure that they have these types of options, and the earlier, the better. So next year, we're going to be introducing building trades to middle schoolers because we need not waste any time. So the city of San Bernardino, we're constantly, at least I am, pushing for higher wages because with the amount of people that we employ, the amount of people that the county employs in our city, hospitals, we need to make sure that they all have livable wages. And I think that that is something that will definitely help to boost economic development here in the city of San Bernardino. Without better jobs, without having medical, which we do provide at Acoma Unity Center as well, even though we're a small organization. But the nonprofit rules say if you get to have it as an executive director, all of your team members have to be able to have that same benefit as well. So I'm happy to be able to provide and continue to push for those type of benefits and better wages for our city of San Bernardino residents here living in Ward 6.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Calvin. Thank you. Now the same question for Mario. How will you support the creation of quality jobs that pay at least the $25 per hour, provide health benefits, safe working conditions, and respect the employees?
Thank you for the question. So, in order for us to be able to provide high-paying jobs, we need to follow in the examples. So some of these examples are, like mentioned before, union trades. Union trades, they fight for their union workers to have a sustainable living wage. What a lot of us don't really necessarily see is a lot of these union workers come from our very own community. They live all along San Bernardino, born and raised here. They have deep roots here. And how are we not thinking to incorporate and use our union workers with our development? Not only will we be paying good wages to our workers, but we'll also be developing the city in a beautiful, positive way. It takes that collaboration and that work and that leadership to be able to see and identify and want to mimic these type of things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mario. And now we have one more question under this topic, and we will, again, go back with Councilmember Calvin. Do you support an ordinance that permanently adopts the benefits of the local policy so that any future development is subject to those standards?
Yes.
Thank you, Councilmember Calvin. Now the same question to you, Mario. Do you support an ordinance that permanently adopts the benefits of the local policy so that any future development is subject to those standards?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, candidates. Now we're going to turn to the topic of development, and you will have 2 minutes to answer each question. We do have some questions. They're kind of spaced out, but there will be several questions. You will have 2 minutes to answer them. There is a lot of construction, redevelopment, and new development in our area. One of the important roles of the City Council is approving major development projects and creating a vision and guideline for the city. In this topic, we have a couple of questions. We'll start with you, Mario, on the first question. How do you approach commercial and residential development in the city?
Thank you for the question. So, when looking at development, we need to check out our zoning to see what kind of development we can make here. One of the great things is mixed-use development, where we have businesses and residential homes on top. With a combination of these both and the right planning, we're able to put these in crucial areas of our city where it's primed for economic growth. We can do this in our downtown area. We can do this through the major corridors that connect to our downtown area. The options, and it's limitless, really. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mario. Councilmember Calvin, same question. How do you approach commercial and residential development in the city?
Zoning is extremely important. And one of the reasons why the city of San Bernardino has not been able to move forward is because our general plan and our codes, building codes, have not been updated. And to be quite frank, it's very disappointing and discouraging and frustrating to me, because it allows certain businesses to come into your community that you really don't want there because the zoning has not been updated. So I won't go any further on that or give you any more of those thoughts. I want to stay right here and stay positive and keep moving forward. But it is important. I believe that to establish what type of development that the community wants is more important. That we shouldn't just be taking that into consideration downtown. And I think that our community speaks very, very loudly about what type of development we want here. And it's easy too, right? Because we don't have any. Compared to a lot of the other wards, we're not developing at the same speed. And there lies a larger question. Why is that? Are we Ward 6 to forever be marginalized? Forever redlined? No, we're not. We're going to continue to fight and move forward. We recognize the issues. We recognize the issues. And I have brought forth some developers to our town who want to continue to build in Ward 6. But there's something called pay to play also that has existed. And when you can hear a developer say, we're very disappointed in how San Bernardino runs business, and we are not going to pay to play, council member. Well, I tell them good, because I don't take money from developers, so it's not a problem. We're going to move forward with all types of development, but the development that you say that you want here in the city of San Bernardino's Ward 6. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. Okay, and we have a couple of follow-up questions. Hopefully, it will be all right to answer a yes or no. We'll start with Mario. Mario, do you think there should be a moratorium on warehouse and industrial development projects in the city?
No.
Same question to you, Councilmember Calvin. Do you think there should be a moratorium on warehouse and industrial development projects in the city?
No.
Follow-up question. How will you, and this is for Mario, how will you support the establishment of binding and meaningful community benefit agreements and community workforce agreements on new economic developments such as the Carousel Mall? Yes, go right ahead.
Thank you. So it's important to have these dialogues, and some of the community work agreements comes from our unions, right? So we need to make sure that these same unions and the union members that are from our city, our residents, are able to participate in this. It all goes back to paying a livable wage. When they're paid a livable wage and they come and help and develop with our city, it stays within our city. It's some of the basic economics that we know. It gets multiplied 1.5, right? So it's important that we continue to support these efforts and continue to support these community work agreements. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mario. Councilmember Calvin, how will you support the establishment of binding and meaningful community benefit agreements and community workforce agreements on new economic developments such as the Carousel Mall?
Well, I know a lot of people in the room who I have worked and who have worked alongside me to build and bring forth a CBA for the downtown Carousel Mall. One of the first votes that I had to, one of the first items I had to vote on, February 2021, was to choose a developer for our downtown Carousel Mall. There was only one choice for me because there was one developer only who promised a CBA. So that was the only choice that we could make because our community needs to make sure that we're going to have livable wages and that the amount of jobs that it brings to our city, that there are going to be union jobs. We can't just allow the developers to dictate that. Now, I believe that that can be a great partnership, but I know I was very grateful that our dais did vote for it, but it didn't make it to the end. So we still have to be vigilant about making sure that the next developer, or however the downtown Carousel Mall is broken up, that we choose developers who believe in CBAs so that the people will be able to have livable wages, and those agreements will be agreements that stay in place, and we won't just have folks that are going to work, doing the work, and not getting paid what they deserve for those things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Calvin. Thank you. Now we will turn to the next topic, environmental justice. For these, you will also receive 2 minutes for each question. Unfortunately, we know that our communities in the Inland Empire, specifically San Bernardino, suffer from some of the worst air quality in the nation. We need a holistic and dedicated plan to improve air quality to help residents here. To that end, I want to ask you about your plans to support environmental goals. I want to ask you a few yes and no questions, and we will begin with Councilmember Calvin. So we will begin with you. Do you support the electrification of new developments, including heating and cooking appliances?
Yes.
Same question for you, Mario. Do you support the electrification of new developments, including heating and cooking appliances?
Absolutely.
Next question. Will you require new developments to include cost-effective measures to reduce energy usage through energy efficiency and include renewable energy systems that produce enough energy to meet remaining energy needs, including electrification? Councilmember?
Yes.
Thank you. Same question to you, Mario. Will you require new developments to include cost-effective measures to reduce energy usage through energy efficiency and include renewable energy systems that produce enough energy to meet remaining energy needs, including electrification?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Calvin, will you require development projects to preserve areas for native tree planting?
Yes.
Thank you. Mario, same question to you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Councilmember Calvin, will you require parking lots to add electric vehicle charging stations and infrastructure for commercial and residential use?
Yes.
Mario, same question for you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, candidates. Now I will give you 1 minute to comment on your approach to climate change and environmental justice. And we're going to go ahead and begin with Councilmember Calvin.
Well, in 2018, AB 617 was a report that was established by the county, but more importantly by community members. Had a lot of input from community, and they were discussing the air quality within San Bernardino, but particularly on the west side, Muscoy, Ward 6, because it's no secret that we have the actual worst air quality in the entire city. We are the hottest area in the entire city. There's more concrete over here than in the entire city. Less vegetation, less trees, more manufacturing. That produces bad air. And how do I know this? Because we have an air monitoring system on our building. And monthly, it tells us exactly how bad the air quality is for our scholars that are outside playing. For the folks who are in the hospital, we need to make sure that we continue. The report is already there. We need to make sure that we continue to fight for better air quality.
Thank you, Councilman Calvin. Thank you. Mario, same question for you. You get 1 minute to answer that question. And would you like me to repeat it?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and repeat it exactly. Can you comment on your approach to climate change and environmental justice?
Yes. Thank you for the question. So firsthand, especially when it comes to air pollution, I deeply feel it because my younger brother, he has asthma. So a lot of this air pollution, the air quality really affects him. But the way I envision it, the state of California is already moving to a greener and more renewable energy future. And I want the city of San Bernardino to head that future as well. And mixed it in with the logistics industry, not only will we have that economic development and growth, but we'll be helping out the environment as well. It's a 2-for-1. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mario. Now we're going to turn to the arts and culture, and you will receive 2 minutes to answer each question. We will start with Mario. You will begin this session. How will you support the arts and the creative economy in San Bernardino?
Oh, sorry. Thank you for the question. So, I've been thinking about this for a while. We have Route 66 that travels along Mount Vernon, goes into the 6th Ward. Now, cruising. At the start of this year, cruising, the law against cruising was lifted. And I say we bring it back. Man, there's so much rich, deep culture within cruising, and a primal spot along Mount Vernon, along the 6th Ward. I understand that we have it in the downtown area. That's where it originated through East Street. But if we look at it, there aren't any residents that live in the downtown area. They live along Mount Vernon. We have businesses along Mount Vernon. If we bring it back to Mount Vernon, how great would that be? We have the major thoroughfare along 5th Street that connects from Rialto to San Bernardino. People will come. It's great. Sorry, I keep smiling because it's just, I see the potential in it. And I hope you guys do too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. Now the same question for Councilmember Calvin. How will you support the arts and the creative economy in San Bernardino?
I get to do this every single day by the Creative Core grant that we applied for at Tacoma Unity Center. We were able to hire 8 local artists. With all of the money going to them, 80% of the grant had to go to all the local artists. In the COVID, a lot of entrepreneurs were created because folks had a lot of time on their hands. And that's a wonderful thing because in artistry, children are able to speak what they feel, but they may not be able to say that verbally, but through their art, they will get the message out. So we support artists. I wholeheartedly support artists. And if you notice around our city, they're popping up more and more organizations that are supporting artists. It is crucial. I think that now through the COVID too, we became a country who appreciate the art. When you used to tell your mom, oh, I'm gonna go to college and I'm gonna become an artist, they might not have been too happy about that. Now, there's so much and so many ways that children, adults, everybody can express themselves through art. So I wholeheartedly support local artists, and I want to see more of them continue to come into our city, engage our city, create more art around our city. I love everything that they're doing downtown with David Freeman in the alleyway. JustSB, everyone has been able to give to the movement of more local artists here in the city of San Bernardino. I love murals. I think murals tell stories about cities. So I appreciate that type of art. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Calvin. And then we have one follow-up question. So Mario, will you vote to reinstate cultural development funding and grant programs?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin, will you vote to reinstate cultural developmental funding and grant programs?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, candidates. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next topic, and you will each have 2 minutes for answering the questions. The next topic is accountability and community engagement. Given the history in San Bernardino, corruption and bankruptcy, most notably, there is a distrust of elected leaders in the city. To that end, I want to ask you about your approach to accountability. And here's the question. What are your thoughts on the proposed time change for City Council meetings from 5 p.m. to 3 p.m.? And we will start with Councilmember Calvin.
So of course, I got to chuckle at that one, right? Because I just shared earlier today with some community members, and I said, you must be vigilant. You must understand what voter suppression looks like. You must understand that it comes in all types of forms. Silencing the voice of the people is one way to do that. It's if I make something a bit inconvenient for you, you might not go the distance in making sure that you get to hear what you need to hear. Or you might not take the time to educate yourself if that one measure, that one way of your being able to educate yourself about what is taking place in the city of San Bernardino, if I change that time on you, you might not take the next step. Ladies and gentlemen, you must take the next step to come to the dais to say how you do not appreciate the time change. You must. This is your city. I tell everybody at the opening of each council meeting, I work for you. You have the power to make that entire council change any decision that you need to have changed. Just like you have the power to vote in people who are going to listen to what you state to the community. And that's why I'm asking you to write my name in, Kim Calvin. One more step because what we can't do at this moment is afford to go backwards. So please, be vigilant.
Thank you, Councilman Calvin. And the same question, I'm going to restate it for Mario. What are your thoughts on the proposed time change for City Council meetings from 5 p.m. to 3 p.m.?
Thank you for the question. So, long answer short, I'm completely against it because we're not allowing the voices of the community to be heard. I've mentioned it a lot, but the 6th Ward consists a lot of the working class. And the working class doesn't get out of work until late in the evening. How are we going to ensure that the community is being heard if we're starting early? It doesn't make sense. We should not be allowing that to happen. Once again, no, we should not be allowing the city council meetings to start early. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mario. And for this next segment, each of you will have 1 minute to provide your input. I know that we are getting towards the end of the evening, and we want to allow the candidates to show a little bit of their personalities. We'll have what like to call the lightning round. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each question. So we're going to start with Mario. You're going to be the beginning answerer of this question. What is your favorite spot in your ward?
So I mentioned it at the last one, but my favorite spot is Nicholson Park. Just when I need to clear my head, go out for a walk, just sit on the jungle gyms and just kind of reminisce of old memories of hanging out with my friends, playing tag on the jungle gyms, looking at the baseball, playing kickball, baseball, looking at the basketball courts, playing basketball. So my favorite spot is Nicholson.
Thank you very much, Mario. Same question for you, Councilmember Calvin. What is your favorite spot in the ward?
My favorite spot is a community center. You ask why? Because I get to see children develop and grow there and have a role in their lives, in communities' lives. Through those doors come all types of people who are in need, the majority are. And so it gives me pleasure to be able to be of service to the scholars that we serve. But I want to mention, Mr. Flores said his favorite place is Nicholson Park. Nicholson Park has been out of commission for 10 years. Desolate, dried up. City just left it desolate. And I'm happy to be able to report that $9.8 million through the ARPA funds have been now given to Nicholson Park. And our Parks and Rec director, that team has worked tremendously to bring forward a beautiful, revitalized park that we will begin groundbreaking in March. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Calvin. Next question, Mario. We're going to go ahead and start with Mario, if that's okay. We're going to keep this section kind of flowing. Mario, what is your favorite thing to do on the weekends?
On the weekends, I really love to hang out with my friends. Coming from my previous capacity as a county field rep, it would be early mornings to attending events late evenings, and weekends were typically busy in the mornings because there's still community events, but in the later evening times, it's when I actually got a chance to wind down and just sit and talk and catch up with friends. I have friends who are going into the culinary profession. I have other friends that are being store managers, and just catching up. And because it's not the same as when we used to be younger, where we, after school every day, we would catch up and talk and listen. Now we see each other less frequently, right? So that would be my favorite thing to do on the weekends.
Thank you, Mario. Councilmember Calvin, what is your favorite thing to do on the weekends?
Well, the last 3 years and 1 month, haven't had many of those. I've attended over 600 community meetings on behalf of the city of San Bernardino and Ward 6. So there hasn't been a whole lot of weekends where I've had time to just really unwind. But when I do, I have 5 beautiful grandchildren that all live in this city. So they are who I try to spend that time with when I do have it. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Calvin. Mario, third question. What is your proudest achievement?
Man, it's really difficult because when I look back at achievements, I don't necessarily do it because I want to be recognized for something. I just do it just because I want to do it and it makes me feel good. I've been a youth leader at my church previously before, Our Lady of Guadalupe in San Bernardino. And most recently I had the opportunity, so youth engagement and necessarily youth engagement is very important to me. It's important that the youth are heard. And most recently, I was able to form a youth advisory council for the 5th District, which consists of the cities of high school students of the cities of Rialto, San Bernardino, Colton, and the unincorporated area of Bloomington, where they're able to come together and once a month and just dialogue amongst each other and talk about the different needs that they face in their communities and bring it back to the supervisor and, hey, these are the things that are going on. What can we do to fix it? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mario. Councilmember Calvin, what is your proudest achievement?
Well, we've had a lot of wins in the last 3 years and 1 month, Ward 6. But of course, the proudest achievement has to be the opening of the first phase of the University Parkway, State Street. That project sat on City of San Bernardino's capital improvement plan list for 20 years. Councilwoman Betty Dean Anderson brought that project forward, and she's alive today, still living in the ward. So I am so very proud of that because she is able to see the seeds that she planted come to fruition. And I'm very proud of that. But we also did something really great in the staff down there at the City of San Bernardino. We brought forth our very first youth council. So now we're educating scholars in the city on what it is to be a city manager, city planner, a council member, the mayor. They have to be able to have front seats to be able to see what it really looks like. So I'm very proud of those two things that we've been able to accomplish in the city.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Calvin. Okay, and for this next section, we're going to be going over some questions that have been collected previously to the registration table, but also some that were collected tonight at the registration table. So we will be posing those questions and providing you with 1 minute to answer each of these questions. So we'll begin with the first one. How prepared is the city of San Bernardino to embrace a green transition in transportation, electrification, and climate resilience, including solar? What would you do to promote or expand programs for just such a transition? And this goes to Councilmember Calvin.
I think we're prime. I think we really are prime. But of course, it does take political will. So we've had a lot of projects that have come to us, a lot of ideas that have come to the city of San Bernardino. But San Bernardino really has to get out of its own way in order to grow and become a thriving city. Because when we go to the California League of Cities, we see cities all over the nation doing fantastic things in the areas of EV and how they're turning things into energy. We just have to become more innovative. But I'm hopeful and I'm believing that even with new council members on the dais, we will be able to see all of the things that San Bernardino can accomplish if that is what we choose to do. Continue to make your voices known about what it is that you want to see. Because sometimes I think that they think it's just me talking for you, and you need to be the ones that come to the dais to share with us about all of the projects, all of the things that we could do to make San Bernardino more efficient.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Calvin. Thank you. And we're going to have the same question for you, Mario. How prepared do you think the city of San Bernardino is to embrace a green transition in transportation, electrification, and climate resilience, including solar, what would you do to promote or expand programs for just a transition?
Thank you for the question. So just the first portion of it, I don't think that the city of San Bernardino is prepared yet. There's potential there. And if elected as your next council member, that will be one of my main focuses. The state of California is going green. The city of San Bernardino needs to be at the forefront. We need to surround ourselves with the experts who know how to get this development done and implement it into our city. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the next question. Again, 1 minute for each question. Councilmember Calvin, well, I guess now we flip to Mario. We're going to go back and forth. So, Mario, how soon will downtown redevelopment begin? What's going on with the Carousel Mall? And do you agree with the direct approach of the city manager? Remember, these are questions from the audience.
Thank you. So I have to do a little more research before I give you a concrete answer as how soon it will be. But it being on the priority for the city manager is crucial because the downtown is the heart of the city. And once the heart starts beating, the blood starts flowing, and it starts going all over the city. Not just the first ward, not the second or the third, the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh included. So it's important that the downtown is a priority because if our downtown thrives, our city thrives. And if our city thrives, the sixth ward thrives. And if the sixth ward thrives, we thrive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mario. Councilmember Calvin, how soon will downtown redevelopment begin? What's going on with the Carousel Mall? And do you agree with the direct approach of the city manager?
Is this a trick question? Because this was just last night on last night's agenda. Like, it's got to be a trick question, right? Who put this in? I can't tell you. Just going to be real honest right now. I can't tell you. Because I spent 2 years on the ad hoc committee for the downtown redevelopment, and I thought we were going somewhere with that. Turns out I spent 2 years of wasted time. Because what has to happen is that the development that the council votes on has to still be the one that we push forward all the way through. We don't get to change up in the middle of streams for whatever reason. We need to push through. And that is what I see not happening in San Bernardino. We start over with every new administration, and I think I just said this last night on the dais. We can't continue to start new plans with new administration. We just chose a strategic plan for the city of San Bernardino when City Manager McNeely was here. My colleagues, we voted on the majority of that with a majority vote. We have to be held accountable to what we started, and so that we can finish it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Calvin. Next question, we're going to go ahead and get started with Councilmember Calvin. Although you just sat down, my apologies. So these questions, again, I'm going to remind everyone, these are from the community. These are direct from residents. Why are you the best person to represent Ward 6, and why are you running?
Well, I think that as the incumbent, I would only ask that the residents of Ward 6 say, have you done your job? Do you see forward progression for our ward? Is she someone that speaks up for her ward? Because what we can't afford is to have a candidate that just sits there and is beholden to anybody else. They must be beholden to you. That is what I am, is what I will always be. Why? Because you elected me to do a job. I believe in holding myself to a level of accountability that I would want to hold you if you were representing me. So that is what and why I am the best candidate. Now, yes, you will have to write my name in, but it's just one more step. with writing Kim Calvin in. We will continue to move the city of San Bernardino forward. Matter of fact, I would appreciate it if all of you would email the city manager and ask, where are the 12 projects that Councilmember Calvin presented to you? Because we're moving forward.
Thank you, Councilmember Calvin. Mario, same question for you. Why are you the best person to represent Ward 6? Why are you running?
Thank you for that question. So there's a lot more to it than just being out in the community. And that thing I feel like I have nailed down, especially in my previous capacity as a field representative. But it takes working together, collaboration between everyone. I mean, we can see it across the board of supervisors. Every supervisor has a different priority. But at the end of the day, they know in order to move the county forward, they have to work together. And that's the same thing that I'll bring to the table if elected council member. I will work with everyone to be able to push the city forward and the 6th Ward forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mario. Next question. And this one, of course, Mario, you will have the opportunity to answer first. What do you think is the best way for the city to use new funding it has received to address homelessness in our ward? How can we help our unhoused neighbors and also improve the safety in our parks?
Thank you. So, homelessness, it's a regional issue. It takes collaboration from federal, state, local, not just the county, but our nonprofits and our faith-based organizations that want to step up to the plate to help. I thank Congressman Aguilar for providing the $35 million in funding. That's also Assemblymember Ramos for opening up Patton State Hospital. There we're able to provide the mental health and the behavioral health component to address unhousing population. The County of San Bernardino last year set aside $72.7 million with an additional $20 million from the County Administrative Office to help cities in their endeavors to tackle on homelessness. Only 2 cities are being looked at to help to address the issue: City of San Bernardino and the City of Fontana. The City of San Bernardino received $3 million for their Navigation Hope Center. But a few months later, the City of Fontana received $10 million. Why did they receive $7 more million than us? What are we not doing right as a community to be able to get that money? Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. Next question, obviously. And I'll restate the question if that's okay. What do you think, Councilmember Calvin, what do you think is the best way for the city to use new funding it has received to address homelessness in our ward? How can we help our unhoused neighbors and also improve the safety of our parks?
So yes, we are planning to build a navigation center. Lofty. I appreciate it. I think maybe one day we will be able to get that. But what about the people that are living on the streets right this minute? We don't have time to wait for a 6 to 8 year project to come to fruition. And in most recent conversations on the dais, there was, we don't know when the navigation center is coming. The last 2 years, I have brought some of you to City Hall to meet with the 2 different city managers on projects that can be erected within 6 months. Had we done that, we would already been able to take 350 people off the street. But that's not what we chose to do. So you do have to have the political will to want to house the unsheltered, because the lofty projects are going to just take way too long. And that's going to increase our arena numbers. It's going to increase our homeless population. We're going to be the ones increasing that. We can do a better job. We just aren't.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Calvin. For this next one, yes, Councilmember Calvin, you will have an opportunity to answer first. This question, how will you fight for residents and keep constituents up to date?
Don't laugh, Ricky. I chuckle because that's the toughest fight of my life, the last 3 years and 1 month. And I will let you know, it has been quite exhausting. And I have been at the brunt of negative press. Why? Because I'm fighting for you, Ward 6. And while you may not always like my tone, please listen to what I am stating. Understanding what I'm saying is more important because the fight is real. The culture is there. We just opened up State Street. Go down and take a look at the signal, at the signal that is covering the sign. The sign should all have been turned to say University Parkway. We cannot continue to be marginalized like this. So I'm going to continue to use my voice. And yes, I might even raise it sometimes. But understand, it is to defend you. It is to defend Ward 6.
Thank you, Councilmember Calvin. Mario, same question for you. How will you fight for residents and keep constituents up to date?
Thank you for the question. So first, we need to embrace all forms of communication, whether it be emails, text messages, calling, or even meeting them at the door. As I've engaged with the community, you'd be surprised how many of them don't know about the GOASTAFA City app, how they are able to report a pothole, and how us as leaders were able to go back to staff and say, hey, can you pull up data on all the issues that are happening in my ward? And then pulling that data and then reaching out to the constituents and telling, hey, we see this is the time frame to get this fixed. It takes that dialogue to be able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mario. Next question. Mario, you'll get us started on answering this question. Do you have a plan for rent control? What is your short-term vision for housing that meets the necessities of the community? And how will you work with the community organizations to protect renters and tenants in the city?
Thank you for the question. So a lot of it is we have to work with our local legislators at the federal and the state level, and also with the community groups here within our community. Because thinking about it, man, I'm 27 years old. I love my parents to death, I do. But I kind of need my own space. And if rent keeps increasing, if I were to somehow get my own place and rent keeps increasing and I don't have the funds to be able to continue living, I'm gonna have to end up moving back home with my parents. So it's gonna take a lot of teamwork and collaborative effort and dialogue. Communication is key for this, to be able to address these issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. Councilmember Calvin, do you have a plan for rent control? What is your short-term vision for housing that meets the necessities of the community? How will you work with the community organizations to protect renters and tenants in the city?
Well, a couple of months ago, city of San Bernardino, we had the opportunity. We were right there. Just to have a conversation, it takes all of us to make a vote. And we had council members that left the dais, and the rest said no. Just to have a conversation about rent control. And this is where I continue to stress, we're creating our own homeless. If they can't afford to rent, then they're gonna be on the streets. Living in your car is considered being homeless. Couch surfing is considered being homeless. So if ever that person says you can't couch surf anymore, you're gonna be on the streets. But for those of us in this room who may not live in Ward 6, you need to reach out to your council members. And even if you do, call them, let them know how important rent control is and that they should not skip out on votes when we are trying to make a decision that is in the best interest of all of our community members. It was just a conversation.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Calvin. We're going to move on to another question that was posed at the registration table this evening. And we're going to start with Councilmember Calvin. What do you think about our cultural history in Ward 6?
Well, Not exactly sure what they mean with that question, but my cultural history in Ward 6 has been vital to the person that I am today. I got to stand as a young girl with a lot of pioneers who were downtown fighting, and those who were the council members. I was very fortunate that I got to sit in those rooms, which is why I work with the youth today, because they need to be able to understand what's going on so that one day they'll be able to take my seat. But our culture, as the way it is looked at downtown, is that we don't deserve anything, we don't need anything. And I'm not exaggerating with that fact, because we've had more money allocated to Ward 6 that seems to always get reallocated somewhere else. CDBG grants are derived on poverty. They look at the demographics, and we have those demographics, but those funds never stay with us. We're the only ward in the city right now who doesn't even have a Starbucks. You guys know that, and some of them have 3 and 4. Something that minor.
Thank you, Councilmember
Thank
Calvin.
you. I could go on and on with that one.
Thank you. Same question for you, Mario. What do you think about our cultural history in Ward 6?
Thank you for the question. I think the culture is rich in the 6th Ward. We're very diverse. I talked about Route 66 and cruising, right? That is essential, and it's important, especially to the Hispanic, Latino heritage. A form of going out and hanging out with someone during the day. And it's essential that we bring these types of events back to the 6th Ward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mario. This next question, submitted by a community member, is addressed specifically to you, Mario. It states, "Who are you? Why have we never seen you before?"
Thank you for the question. So, as I mentioned at the start, my name is Mario Flores. I can't really tell you why you haven't seen me before. If you were at Nicholson Park maybe 10 years ago before it closed, you would have seen me. If you were out near Arleta, Guadalupe, and San Bernardino, seen me feeding the homeless, picking up trash, you maybe would have seen me. Or even this last year, working as a field representative for our county supervisor, you would have seen me. But ultimately, I've been in the community. I'm not sure why. I'm not going to get into any more detail, but thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mario. Thank you. This next question appears to have, it's sort of a combination of two, and so we will begin with Mario, since Councilmember Calvin answered the general one. That last one was specifically addressed to Mario. So this one, again, Mario, you will begin with this one. It's a little bit long-winded, so here we go. What do you think about the partnership contract approved by the City Council to take in thousands of animals from Fontana, Rialto, and Colton in a few months? How would you address the challenges of the current companion animal crisis and lower rates or save rates to ensure the success of this partnership?
Thank you for the question. So, the city of San Bernardino taking animals from different cities, I see it as a potential, right? With the county of San Bernardino, the DeVore Animal Shelter, it's reached capacity. And those cities have contracted with Riverside County, and Riverside County basically said, "Nuh-uh, we're done." So the next option is for the county of San Bernardino to take in those animals, but the DeVore Animal Shelter is at capacity, and the Bloomington Animal Shelter won't be built or completed until the next, 2 years? So I see this as an opportunity, and yes, I feel with the community with how the animals are treated, the conditions that they're in, I think we need to do better. But in order for us to do better, we need to work together to do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mario. Same question for you, Councilmember Calvin.
Thank you. Well, this is a very, very touchy subject, and it always is, even on our dais. Akoma, that's my dog at home, who I love a lot. She's in trouble today, though, but nevertheless. You know, I don't know how we became that city, but we are. And as we are waiting to build a very nice animal control, I'm sorry, not animal control, but a new, what do you call those things? Shelters, thank you. A new animal shelter. It's gonna be critical that we are doing something to improve the conditions that we currently have. I just wasn't very comfortable with opening ourselves up to bringing more animals in when we are having a lot of complaints about the care of the animals that are in our shelter currently. So we're gonna have to tighten up there. But if we're gonna build this new shelter, then if other cities are gonna pay into being part of that relationship, I really don't see a problem with it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Councilmember Calvin. For the next questions, there are 5 questions, and we have approximately 5 minutes to be able to answer those questions. So we're going to do our very best to answer them prior to the last 5 minutes, which we want to reserve for the closing statements, if that is okay with everyone. Okay. And so we're going to go ahead and move on. So the quicker, the better. How will you, and again, we're going to go ahead and start with Councilmember Calvin. How will you promote stronger economic development on the west side? Can you provide 2 to 3 high-level examples?
Sure. I'm going to continue to promote by going out and being your representative. I've gone to the International Council of Shopping Centers 2 years in a row in Las Vegas. There is where I learned what retailers are actually looking for when they want to build something in your neighborhood. It's a lot of different criteria, and we just have to make sure that we're fitting inside of that. But one thing that I also learned was that we fare pretty good on paper, but yet we were always being told, oh, you can't get that retail developer. They're not going to come to Ward 6. It's all type of other issues, but that's not true. They do want to come to Ward 6. We have to look at the underlying issues and problems, and I already mentioned one, which was pay to play. The second one is that we as community members need to continue to go to the dais and say, why don't we have X, Y, and Z? Not even one restaurant to be able to sit down and have a dinner with your family. Franchise. We do have small business and I support them, but franchise. We have to fight for what it is that we want.
Thank you, Councilmember Calvin. Same question for you, Mario. How will you promote stronger economic development on the west side? And can you give 2 to 3 high-level examples?
So, thank you for the question. So we need to cut red tape, make it more accessible for people to want to do business with the city of San Bernardino. But also, do we have enough capacity internally as a city to keep this going? And then one thing that we fail to realize, some businesses don't want to bring their business to an area when there are not enough rooftops. So it's a culmination of both. And we need to look at the data, and we need to work with staff to be able to address these issues and come up with a solution so we can address the issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mario. Next question. Mario, what do you envision for the 6th Ward this upcoming year?
Thank you for the question. So, it's kind of tough where to start. I envision more businesses in the 6th Ward. Growing up, I've seen how surrounding cities have economically developed, and San Bernardino always gets left behind, especially the 6th Ward. I've seen other wards bring in Starbucks, getting Chick-fil-A, and it sounds selfish, but I want that too for the 6th Ward, but it's not as simple as wanting it. We have to look to see what are the underlying issues of why we can't have it. And until we address those issues, we can't bring those things that I want selfishly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. Same question for you, Councilmember Calvin.
Thank you. We've already addressed the issues. And I'm telling you, in 3 years and 1 month, I've been able to identify what the problems are. The problems are historical. The problems are systemic. The problems are a culture of which this has just been what the case is. And so now we've had to do something different. What that means is that, yes, rooftops. So we have 3 housing plans right now in the making. When they see that our median income grows, so we need more jobs, better jobs, then we'll be able to pull in these retailers. But first, we've got to stop some pay to play and understand that that is really why 6th Ward has not been groomed to look like other wards.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Calvin. And that concludes our question and answers for the audience. So we're now going to go ahead and move to the next section. And thank you both for a lively discussion this evening. I know we have prevented you from directly addressing each other, so we would like to give you 2 minutes to make your closing statements. Any last words that you would like the audience to hear from you? And we will go ahead and start with Councilmember Calvin.
Well, again, thank you so much, League of Women Voters, JustSB, and everybody else who played a role. Thank you, Pastor Wade Ford. I appreciate you for opening your church up to the community again, because Pastor Wade opened his church for Ward 6 Town Hall in October. So very grateful for the type of community support. But Ward 6, this is probably one of the most crucial votes that we have encountered. Why is that? Because the other 2 candidates, they are being run by other council members on the dais. And so I just need for you all to ask the question, why is that? Is it because she speaks too much? She yells, she's loud, whatever narrative that they try to paint for you, I'm going to tell you the real truth. And the real truth is that the 6th Ward has a fighter on their hands. The 6th Ward has somebody who is willing to put themselves out front, to take those blows for you continuously, but those blows hurt. So right now, what I'm asking is that I need all of you to continue to stand for Ward 6, no matter if they change that time to 3 o'clock or change it back to 5, whatever the case may be, but more importantly, you must write me in. Kim Calvin, 8 letters, so that we can continue to move forward. And I give you all the promises that I gave you before. You'll never have to worry about me lying to you. You'll never have to worry about me not being accountable. You'll never have to worry about the votes that I make, because the votes that I make are on behalf of Ward 6 in the city of San Bernardino's best interests. Always have been. I dare anybody to challenge me on one of my votes in 3 years and 1 month. If you feel it was the wrong one, please address me so that we can talk about it and I can help you to understand why I chose to vote then. Again, San Bernardino, thank you so very much for entrusting me to the benefits of San Bernardino's Ward 6. I appreciate all of you.
Thank you, Councilmember Calvin. And now we will allow Mario to go ahead and provide some closing statements.
I want to thank the League of Women Voters, JustSB, and all the other organizations for holding this forum, and the residents for coming out today on this evening, for engaging and listening and informing yourself of who these candidates are. I greatly appreciate it. I jump into this seat, or I jump into this race as a chance to bring change and a new perspective. I thank Councilwoman Calvin on her service. She has done a great job. There's no denying that. But the same, I promise to be communicative. I promise to listen, to engage, and to fight for the 6th Ward. I've seen my community go downhill, and I'm tired of that. I want my community to rise with all of us with it. Now, I'm also fighting for the things that plague our city: homelessness, infrastructure issues, high crime rate. It takes all of us to be able to do this. Quiero agradecer a las organizaciones que crearon este foro y ustedes, la comunidad, por salir a hoy, esta noche, y participar y escuchar a nosotros, los candidatos. Yo prometo pelear la pelea que se ocupa para representar el 6º distrito de San Bernardino. Recuerda que los boletas van a llegar por correo la siguiente semana y el último día para votar es el 5 de marzo. Que tengan buena noche.
Thank you very much, Mario. Thank you. And with that, we've concluded basically the program, the event. We are right on time. We want to be respectful of everyone's evening. We know you took time to be here out of your very busy and obviously important schedules. So we wanted to make sure that we would finish on time. It is 7:30, and we have concluded this candidate forum.